Hi, I'm Max Clark. Let's talk about data retention policies. Sounds really exciting, doesn't it? First off, you need a data retention policy and you need to pay attention to this. And why do you need a data retention policy? Well, let's just use the example of e-discovery. If you have any sort of legal action that you're involved with, actually, even before the legal action starts, you're going to get a hold notice. You're going to get a letter that says, hey, we're going to sue you, and you have to preserve all the records before this lawsuit comes. And now you have to. A discovery in the process, and this can come from a lot of different places, right? This can be a customer action, this could be a vendor action, this could be an employee action, this could be a regulatory action, this could be a government action, whatever. I mean, there's lots of different vectors that these things come in and can hit you with. And I worked for a company, the general counsel told me one day, I was in her office when she was served with a lawsuit, and it was really shocking and jarring to me. It was the first time I'd seen it. And she just looked at me and she winked and she said, you're not a real business until you've been sued. And so, maybe you haven't crossed that threshold yet, and I'm really happy for you. But at some point you're going to cross the threshold and you're going to have some sort of legal action. So this starts with discovery. And discovery in today's world, basically you're going to get a demand to produce documents related to everything in every mechanism known to mankind ever in existence possible, right? So this is going to say, we want everything related to this topic between these people, addressing this stuff, discussing between this time period that exists in paper, documents, fax, email, chat, carrier pigeon, signal flares, posters on the wall. Like basically, the lawyers are very good at this in figuring out every potential place that this thing could ever be documented or ever come up or come out. Right. And they also know that tooling now makes it very easy for them to search this stuff. So it used to be that a discovery request would result in boxes and boxes and boxes and boxes and boxes of paper that then somebody would have to shift through. And by the way, that person was being paid hourly, and they were billing hourly to shift through that paper. So they didn't really care because they were billing their client. But nowadays, the e-discovery systems allow it to be electronic search and like instant retrieval. So it's even better for them. So the best counter to this is if you have an actual retention policy in place that you have implemented, that you've documented, and that you actually do. And by the way, all of these things are very important, right? You can't just say, oh, we decided to randomly delete all of our email and chat logs prior to this date because we just felt like it. No, you have to create and document a policy. Our policy is going to say, we store email for 2 years and everything past 2 years is automatically purged. We store chat for 1 year and everything after 1 year is automatically purged. And the second part of that's really important, right? The policy defines, and also there's tiers, right? So things related to customer legal is going to be a longer retention, or, your tax filings are going to have longer retention. And mind you, when I say, longer retention, what that really means is that you're going to take that data out of your email platform or out of your chat platform, and you're going to put it into the proper mechanism to store that thing, right? It's going to go into your Google Drive. It's going to go into your Dropbox. It's going to go into your SharePoint. It's going to go into your CRM. It's going to go into whatever system that you're actually doing to maintain records long-term, because that's where it actually belongs and where it should live. It's going to go into your filing cabinet, right? So the first part is defining the policy, what data has to be maintained, what doesn't have to be maintained. Email is not a database. Do not store data in email. Email is for collaboration, it is for messaging. When you're done with that, save it wherever it needs to go, put it in a different system. That's the system you actually have to maintain. Okay, so that was the first part. The second part is automatic. So you want a platform that can take and automatically apply the policy and either retain or purge the data as it applies to the policy. Why am I recording this and why is this important? Here's an example. Slack. If you are on the free version of Slack, Slack has an indefinite retention. Now, it might not show it to you. And by the way, this is common with a lot of these systems. They won't show you the messages past a certain point, but if you scroll back, you're going to get something that's going to say like, oh, it's available to us. You just upgrade. So upgrade from free to paid, and now you can go back in history and you can get the rest of the stuff. This is scary to you, because if you are on a free version of Slack and you get this discovery request, now you have to pay for the top tier of Slack, right? So you're going from free to $18 a seat, right? So I don't know, maybe you've got 100 seats. Now all of a sudden you're signing a contract with Slack at almost $2,000 a month, depending where you are, you're paying taxes on it. And you're going to be on that for, whatever span of time. So you've gone from a zero expense to a $24,000 a year expense out of left field. And now you get to go through and run the e-discovery, process and dig out everything that's in your Slack related to whatever that action is that opposing counsel has asked for. You counter this very easily. You counter this by paying for a lower version of Slack that has a retention policy that you can set, and you say, hey, we chat for 1 year. There's no history past 1 year. This is not a history platform for us. Same thing with email. There's lots of examples of this. And if you're curious about it, I mean, first off, when you're creating your policy, talk to your counsel. Figure out what's appropriate for you, for your industry, for what segment you're in. Talk to your advisor, figure out what you should be doing. Don't just create these things willy-nilly because you don't want to run afoul of anything at the same time. Probably the most famous case of this I can think of off the top of my head would be Enron, and not Enron specifically, but their accountants. And their accountants had a retention policy that they were not actually enforcing. So there's a letter or an email, and this, by the way, became the death sentence for the accountant, because when the accountant realized that, the CPA firm realized that bad things were going to happen, a lawyer sent out a message saying, hey, don't forget about our document retention destruction policy, and that was the trigger for the shutters to start running. So you can't do that. If you think that something bad is about to happen, you can't go through and start deleting everything. That's bad. Don't do that. Create a policy, put it in place, have it automated, put it on your platforms, license the right tiers that you get these things done, have it running in the background. And by the way, this is really good for you as well, because, the counter I hear a lot with these things become like, oh, we need this thing so that way we can find this blah, blah, blah. And no, this is great. If everybody knows this thing is being deleted, it'll help force your employees and your team to take stuff out of platforms where they should not be storing stuff and put them into places where they should be storing them. It's very easy to like PDF an email if you need to store that email. You PDF the email and you put it into your file, like no big deal. Really easy to do. Same thing with chat. Really easy to do. Chat is chat. It's not retention. It's not a database. It is not a file cabinet. It is chat. It should be chat. Take the history out of chat. When you make decisions, put it somewhere else. Save it somewhere else. Add it to your wiki, add it to your knowledge base, add it to your filing cabinet. Do whatever you need to do with it. Just get it out of chat. Set up a document retention policy, set up an automatic process to enforce that document retention policy, and enjoy the benefits of it, because down the road, something will happen and you'll be able to say, hey, look, we don't have it. This policy's been in place for 5 years and it runs at this interval and we just don't have it. We can't give you what you're asking us for because it does not exist. And that's a so much better place to be in. Don't testify against yourself. Document retention policy. By the way, this is also really good for you because it means you need less storage. Like at some point you're going to fill up your hard drives with nonsense. If you don't store the stuff, you're not filling up your hard drive. You're not consuming disk space in your mail platform. You're not consuming storage on your chat platform. You're not consuming, this is just good, and just do it. Just do it. Document retention policy. Love to hear your stories about it. If you've had any crazy, retention issues or e-discovery, let me know in the comments below. I'm Max Clark. Looking forward to reading it.
I feel it.